Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Tax Tea Thursday with Tish. Come in, come in, come in. Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are on week 3. Tap in, tap in, tap in. I'm trying to give everyone a couple minutes to join before I get started. I do not want to keep you all too long tonight. So yeah, tap in, tap in, tap in. If you have missed week 1 and 2, as of right now, they are still posted. So go ahead and catch up. We are on week 3, Tax Tea Thursday with Tish. I hope everyone is having a great week. My week has been kind of so. I can't even front. I've had some trials and tribulations in this week, but yet I am still here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are on week 3 of mastering your budget. Hopefully, everyone who's tuning in had the opportunity to complete weeks 1 and 2 homework. If you haven't, go ahead and make sure you get that done. Again, the homework is for you, right? The homework is for you to be able to obtain not only a budget, but help you reach your financial goals, right? Whether that's a savings, emergency fund, lifestyle change, whatever that may be, that homework is for you, right? So, week 1 homework, I wanted you to go ahead and do look at your bank account for 1 week, track your 1 week expenses. So if you did tune in last week and you completed your homework, you should have been tracking your expenses from Friday until today, until tonight's class. If you did your homework. And then if you didn't do your homework, of course, at that point you just missed out. But yeah, it is week 3 of mastering your budget. I hope everyone did their homework. I hope everyone has been following along. And again, week 1 homework, you wanted to go ahead and track your expenses for the week. And yeah, that's about it for week 1 and week 2. Basically, open up that bank account or open up your statement, because I did tell everyone to print off their statements, right? Your monthly bank statements. Track all of your expenses. So if you have not tuned into week 1 or 2, what are we doing here is basically creating a budget for your financial needs, right? In order to master your money, you have to master a budget, honestly. If you don't have a budget, then how do you know your money? If you don't know your money, then how are you going to be able to reach your financial goals that you want to obtain? I've always told people, you don't need a lot to start with the budget. Get out a pen and paper. And when you're getting out that pen and paper, you need 3 columns, right? which if you were in class last week, go ahead and drop it in the chat. What are the three columns that you should have on your paper? The three columns you should have is your fixed income, your variable income, and your discretionary income or expenses. I'm sorry. Fixed expenses, variable expenses, and discretionary expenses. Again, as we talked about before, fixed expenses is expenses of monthly occurring bills that do not change. And that is your rent, life insurance, car insurance, those bills don't change. Your variable expenses are expenses that do change, which it could be your light bill, water bill, cable bill, maybe your cell phone bill, depending on what type of plan that you have, that fluctuates. And you have your discretionary expenses, which is typically hobbies, right? Maybe taking yourself out to eat, fast food, those type of things. So you want us to be able to have those three categories, track those for a week. You don't need a fancy planner. You don't need any type of app. You can literally pull up your bank statement. And a lot of you all, claim that, oh, you want a better lifestyle or you want to save, but you're not taking the necessary steps to save, right? And we have to get you there. And sometimes opening up that bank statement can be hard because at that point you are looking at yourself dead in the face. Really, when you open up that bank statement, you are able to see exactly where your money is going. And a lot of us are blind spending. So we all need to stop that. Everyone has something they want to do in their life, whether it's a vacation, whether if it's paying off their home, their car. Figure out how you can get out of debt. America is in a lot of debt. Yeah, so that's week 1 and 2. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Letitia Wilson, your owner of LC Financial Solutions, where we specialize in helping high income earners and business owners maximize their wealth and minimize their taxes. And if you're not a high earner and if you're not a business owner, well, yes, we can still help you get to whatever success financially that you need to get to. So, week 3, we're going to talk about building a budget that works, right? And so, when we talk about building a budget that works, everybody budget is going to look different. No one person budget is going to look the same. No one person budget should look the same. So, tonight we're going to be discussing different budget methods that you can use, creating that personalized budget, and allocating effectively for what seems right. And of course, homework, 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 homework. We can't have we can't have this series without some homework. Fun homework. It doesn't take too much, time and effort. One of my mentors always tell me, you either gonna spend time or you're gonna spend money. Which one you gonna spend? And at this point, we want to spend time to actually sit down, allocate our funds, and decide how we want to live our future life. And so, again, tonight we're going to be talking about different budget methods, right? Find your own secret sauce for saving effortlessly, right? Creating a budget, I think that when people hear budget, they think that it's a punishment, right? You can't spend, you can't do this, you can't do that. No, you can do all the things that you want to do, but you want to make sure that you do effectively and efficiently, and also make sure that it helps you reach that ultimate goal that you are trying to reach. So when it comes to different budget methods, a lot of people like to use the 50-30-20 budget rule. So that's 50% of your wants, 50% of your needs, 30% of your wants, and then 20% to save for your debt or even your savings account. But me personally, I like to switch it around. I'm doing 50% of needs. I do 30% of savings and 20% of wants. Because as of right now, my wants now are is not as big as my future wants, right? I do want to own a home in the future. I do want to have farm. I do want to have land. So as of right now, I'm making it a priority to save and get out of debt. That is my main priority. So I'm really scaling back, cutting back on my wants, because as of right now, my wants is not more important than my savings and paying off my debt. It's just not that. The second method that you can use is a zero-based budgeting. So basically, you are accounting for every dollar that you have. I don't know if you all can see that better, but you all are accounting for every dollar that you have. So it's income minus expenses equals zero. So literally you are accounting for every penny that goes in and out of your bank account. You have somewhere for every penny to go. If you get paid, I don't know, $2,000 every 2 weeks, that $2,000 should be allocated accordingly to your income and your expenses, right? Now that is more complex due to the fact that you are literally tracking every single dollar. So, excuse me, a lot of times people do not use the zero based budgeting. You really have to be dedicated, I feel, to obtain the zero based budget. You really have to take budgeting seriously. And that's why a lot of people do the 50-30-20 rule, because it's simpler. I'm not going to say easier. It's more simpler to understand and complete. And then you also have the envelope method. I know a lot of people seen this on social media, where you get different envelopes, whether you do it physically or digitally, and you can have an envelope per account that you want to either save for or for expenses. So you can may have an envelope for maybe a vacation, for savings, for emergency fund. And remember, when you have those different envelopes or budgeting system, you cannot use the same money across the board. So if you want $1,000 savings account or $1,000 emergency fund, that $1,000 is not the same $1,000 that you will use to go on your vacation, right? That same $1,000 is not the same $1,000 that you are going to use to save for a house or pay off your car. You need to have different either accounts or, like I said, envelope method to allocate your money. And that goes back to the zero based budgeting, because again, at that point, you will have to account for every single dollar that you have. So next, we're going to talk about creating a personalized budget, right? So this is strictly for you. Your budget is not going to look like anyone else's budget. Everyone's budget should be personalized. One, because everybody doesn't get paid the same. Two, everyone doesn't have the same debts. It could be two people both making $2,000 every 2 weeks, and one person may not have expenses, the other person may have student loan debt, car debt, credit card debt, right? So even if you're making the same amount of money, the budget is still going to look different because the goal is different, right? And when creating your personalized budget, you do not want to plan with money that you do not have. So I know a lot of times we do this, oh, maybe for tax season, for instance, okay, yeah, tax season coming, I'm going to get an extra $1,000 or extra, $3,000, depending on your income. And then now you've planned what you're going to do with this $3,000 in your head that you haven't received yet, right? And so now you've made all these plans. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to spread money here. I'm going to spread money there. And then once you actually come to obtaining that money, guess what? You're not getting that $3,000. That 3,000 probably turned into 1,500. And so now you're like, dang. Okay, now let me reorganize in my head how I was going to spend my money. Do not plan with money you do not have. If it's not in your physical bank account and you don't have it at that moment, do not plan with money that you do not have when you are creating your personalized budget. And again, when you are creating your personalized budget, you want to have three main buckets. And this is something that you all should be writing down, which is the essentials, your financial goals, and your lifestyle goals. Again, essentials are things that you have to pay, right? Rent, if you want to have somewhere to live, that's your rent, that's your mortgage, that's your car note, that's your light bill, groceries, those things like that are financial essential budgets. And then you also have, again, your financial goals. What is your financial goal? What is your 3 month goal? What is your 6 month goal? What is your 1 year goal? If your goal is to save 6 months, right, worth of, I would say, worth of bills, right? So just say, for instance, if your monthly cost of living is about $2,500, I'll just make it even $2,000. If it costs you $2,000 to live each month, one, that's great because that's less than what I have every month. But if you want to have 6 months of that, add that up and say, okay, well, if my budget is $2,000 a month for expenses, which is rent, utilities, how can I save for that for 6 months, right? How can you have that, put up to the side? That is a financial goal. Or maybe you don't even have a savings account and you say, you know what, I want to save $500. How do I save $500, right? So you want to be able to put those goals in a bucket, write it down, and stick with it. That's why I tell you all throughout this session, you all need a notebook. Write it down. You can have a lot of thoughts and a lot of ideas in your head, but until you write it down, it's really not real and you can't see it, right? You want to be able to see that. And then, of course, your last bucket is lifestyle. Think about your future life. How do you want to live your life? In 5 years, where do you see your life? Or where do you see you? 5 years, 10 years, heck, even 3 years, right? We can do a short term goal. Where do you see yourself in your lifestyle the next year? If you say, "Oh, I wanna live a vacation lifestyle, I want to live a travel lifestyle," how are you going to get there, right? You need to be able to create that personalized budget in order to get there. And again, when you are creating your personalized budget, be realistic. This is not a punishment. A budget is for you to be able to live the lifestyle that you want to live. Be realistic. Don't be too restrictive, on yourself. If you feel like, well, my budget is already small and I'm not really doing anything, don't cut costs to where you're not doing anything. Still live your life, but live it efficiently and effectively, and be flexible within your budget, because you might have a job that's paying you, $4,000 to $5,000 a month, and you might get laid off, and then now you found another job. It might not pay as well, so you may be getting maybe $3,000 a month, right? Be flexible. Be able to not only personalize your budget, but adjust your budget as needed. Just because you say you want to save $300 a month, you might not be able to save $300 this month. You maybe be able to save only maybe $150, right? You want to be realistic when it comes to creating your personalized budget, and flex when you need to flex it. That's what it's all about when creating a budget. A budget is not to, again, punish you, because when people hear budget, is they feel like, oh, I can't do this and I can't do that. No, you can do it, but maybe you need to scale back to get to where you want to be, right? If you're not doing that, how can you get to where you want to be? And after you create your personalized budget, right, you want to allocate income effectively, right? So make the right decisions when it comes to your money. If you know that you went to Starbucks 5 times last week, every morning before you went to work, maybe you don't need to go this week. That's what it's all about, allocating income effectively, right? Prioritize what is important in your budget. What's important in your budget may not be important to the next person's budget, but that's why it's personalized for you, right? Personalize that budget. Personalize and prioritize what is important in your budget and how you're going to move forward to maybe pay down some debt, or maybe save up for that, account, or travel, or whatever you want to do for your goal, for your budget. But write that down. This is why I tell you all, get that notebook out, get that pen out. We're going back old school. You don't need a planner. You don't need an app. You need to be real with yourself to figure out, what do I need to do in order to live the lifestyle I want, or to meet this financial goal that I need to meet. And as you can see, I said it before and I'll say it again. All your accounts need to be separate when it comes to savings. So you can't have the same savings account for your emergency fund, for your travel fund, for your mortgage. All of that needs to be broken up. All of that needs to be broken up. You can't use that same $1,000 across the board. You can't say, okay, well, I'm going to have an emergency fund for $1,000, but then you turn around and use your emergency fund for travel expense. So did you really allocate effectively? No, you didn't. That's not allocating effectively. And that's what we want to do here, is to help you allocate effectively. This is why I said print off that bank statement. Look at those discretionary expenses. Look at your discretionary column and say, okay, well, this one I spent $300 on whatever you spent $300 on. And then now you're trying to figure out, okay, how can I budget? Because again, a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck. But are you really living paycheck to paycheck, or are you blind spending? Because those are two different things. And once you recognize that, you will be able to sit down, create your personalized budget, and allocate your money effectively. And then next, we're going to talk about reducing debt. So when it comes to reducing debt, you want to be able to reduce your debt to take control of your financial freedom. America is in a lot of debt. You may have debt. You may have a car loan or mortgage, credit cards, student loans, right? And if you don't have any debt, kudos to you, right? If you don't have any debt, That is great, but if you do, you want to work on reducing that debt as soon as possible because you never know when something unexpectedly can happen in your life. And so when it comes to reducing your debt, you want to review your debt situation, right? Flip the page in your notebook if you're taking notes, right? What I say all the time, or what I've been saying through this, note takers are money makers. So if you're taking your notes, go ahead and flip the page. And so now we want to title it debts. List out all of your debt, right? List it out, who the creditor is, how much the total is, how much you pay monthly. Calculate that you have. Calculate the total of debt that you're paying. Okay, I think I blanked out, so I just want to make sure I'm still here. My internet, okay, it's a little faulty right now. Okay, I'm back. So you want to, again, new page in your notebook, title with debts. List out all your debts, the total amount, add that total amount up. List up, calculate your monthly expenses for that, right? And when you calculate how much that you pay in debt, go back and review that budget on how much you are receiving in income. Sometimes you probably living above your means, right? And in this, I feel like you shouldn't live above your means, or at you should live below your means, just in case anything ever happens. And so you want to, once you list out all your debts, you want to think of strategies and ways to reduce your debt. So some strategies that you can use to reduce your debt is the snowball method. This is one of my favorite methods. And so with the snowball method, when it comes to reducing debt, after you've listed out all of your debts, you want to be able to see what your smallest debt is. So you may have a credit card that maybe has a $300 balance and you want to pay that off. Once you do your budget for the month, and you see how much that you have left over, when you are allocating to that snowball method, you want to be able to use any extra funds that you have to pay off your smallest debt. Tackle the smallest debt first. I like that one because I feel like it's more of a celebration, honestly, to me mentally, when I can see, okay, well, my credit card balance is $2,500 and I've paid off, my credit card debt by using additional funds that would have used for discretionary expenses. And now I can pay off my credit card, right? Then the next strategy that you can use for reducing your debt is the avalanche method. Now, this one I've never used before because I love snowball method. But when you have the avalanche method, right? The avalanche method, again, you've already listed out all of your debts and you want to look at the biggest debt that you have. So if your biggest debt is maybe a student loan and that student loan is $10,000, you want to go ahead and pay that off first. Use all extra funds that you have to allocate to pay off your biggest debt first. Now, that could take a little longer just depending on what your budget is and how much that you have to allocate that. Another strategy that you can use is debt consolidation. So typically when you do debt consolidation, you combine all your debt in one with a lender, and then you pay that lender a monthly fee. They typically tell you like, oh, if you owe $50,000 to $60,000, come with us. We'll collect all your debt to make it one payment. So that way you are not paying all of these different collections. Personally, I wouldn't do a debt consolidation. Some people do. You will just have to figure out if it's for you. Unfortunately, at this time, I do not offer debt consolidation, but we can get together to figure out, which company would be best for you. I do know people who considered and went through debt consolidation. So some people like it, some people don't. And again, when you do debt consolidations, it's literally taking all of your creditors that you have and they combine it into one big payment, which is usually or should be lower than what you are already paying monthly to each individual vendor or creditor. Also, another strategy that you can use when it comes to reducing debt, you can negotiate with the creditor. Sometimes you may lose your job. Sometimes you might have health issues to where maybe something happens in your life drastically to where you are not able to pay that debt. And so what you can do is call the creditors and say, hey, I know My monthly bill with you all is $250 a month, but I just lost my job. I can't afford to pay $250 a month. Can we take my payments down to maybe $150 a month, right? And usually, 9 times out of 10, they will work with you on that, to even help you change your due date, or even, like I said, negotiate to get a lower payment. Another strategy that you can use to reduce debt is increase your income, whether that's getting an additional job, maybe finding a new employer that pays more, and so that way you can increase your income, right? And that way you have more money to pay off those debts that you have. And the last strategy that I have here to reduce debt is bankruptcy. There are different chapters, chapter 7 and chapter 11. Again, you would have to figure out which chapter of bankruptcy is best for you, in your situation, and where do you see your financial future when you are going through a bankruptcy. I'm not an attorney. Everything that I'm saying is just for educational purposes. If you are interested in bankruptcy, then I would suggest that you reach out to a bankruptcy attorney. And hopefully, in maybe 5 to 7 years, I could be the bankruptcy attorney. Who knows, right? Who knows you know, where the world is going to take me, right? But yeah, those are strategies to reduce debt. Again, snowball method, you want to go ahead and pay off the smallest debt first. You got your avalanche method where you pay off the biggest debt first. Debt consolidations where you combine all your creditors to one lender, and that lender would basically reach out to the creditors and say, hey, we're going to pay you now instead of the client, right? And then typically, again, when you do a debt consolidation, maybe if you have credit card debts that where you're paying $700 a month, maybe they can get you down to $500 a month when you go with them. Again, negotiate with creditors, give them a call, let them know what's going on with you. They will be gladly to help you out because they definitely would like that communication. Increase your income. If you need to, you can do, a side hustle, side gigs, additional job, whatever you could do to increase your income legally. Or again, file for bankruptcy, start over, go ahead and put everything on a bankruptcy, start over, and learn from that as well. If you do file a bankruptcy, don't go back and do the same thing once your bankruptcy is discharged. Learn from your mistakes, right? Learn how to budget better, get that budget intact, right? In order to master your money, you have to master your budget. And also, again, consistency is key when it comes to, mastering this budget. You just don't want to do it for this week while we're in this challenge, or this month while we're in this challenge. Take this all the way through life, right? Teach this to your family, teach this to your kids. Maybe you have a niece or a nephew or a little cousin, right? Stay consistent when it comes to your budget, and also teach other people how to budget, because a lot of times people may not know how to budget. Did your parents teach you how to budget? Did your parents go through with you monthly and say, okay, this is X amount of dollars we have for the month, and this is how we allocate it? A lot of our parents didn't, and that's okay. But in order for us to change the cycle, we have to change for ourselves as well. And when staying consistent, you want to make the right decisions when it comes to your money, right? You want to schedule a weekly money check-in, or even bi-weekly when you get paid. Open up that bank account, or again, write it down in your notebook. Okay, this is check day. This is how much I get paid. These are the bills that I'm paying. How much did I pay? Use what you have to get started. Again, like I mentioned before, you don't need an app, you don't need a fancy planner. Now, it's nice to have, yes, but don't let that be the excuse that you use to why you haven't started your budget. This is why I said get out a notebook and a piece of paper. You can go to Dollar Tree and get you a notebook. It doesn't have to be fancy, and the pen's in the same aisle with a calculator if you want to have a calculator, right? And when keeping up that consistency in a budget, involve your family or maybe even an accountability partner, whether that's a spouse, a friend, a cousin. Say, hey, let's get together and let's plan a budget date. Now, if you've been following me for some time, in February, I talked about budgeting dating with your spouse or your significant other. Go ahead and involve family. You can make it a family night. Hey, everyone, at the 31st or the 30th of each month, we're going to get together and we're going to do a budgeting day. We're going to do a budgeting family event where we get together, open up the bank statement, see where we spent our money, see how we can allocate that money to our future, right? Involve your family, use an accountability partner. I have accountability partners For almost everything that I do, I have an accountability partner in my business. I have accountability partner when I'm working out. As you can see, if you go back, baby face slamming. Um, but yeah, have that accountability partner, right? And those partners will help you be responsible and make sure that you hold yourself to that standard to be consistent, right? Consistency is key. We have to be consistent in order to get to that budget and that lifestyle that we want. And without it, you're not going to get anywhere. And for tonight's homework, we are going to finalize a working budget using all the tools provided. So if you have missed this session or any sessions before, go back and watch the replay. Replay for week 1 and 2 are in the same video. You can just scroll back through the timeline and see week 1 to go over. You want to go over this week? Excuse me. You want to go over this week to finalize your budget using all the tools that I've provided here in these lives. Again, track your expenses against the budget for next week. And be ready to come and share your wins that you have, right? Week 4 is the last week of financial literacy month. So if you haven't watched week 1 and week 2, go back and watch week 1 and week 2. If you need help with the budget, or maybe you say, you know what, I really don't want to do the budget myself. I want you to assist me with this budget. I need help with the budget. Can you show me where to start? I know I've been sitting here watching your videos and your lives and you telling us what to do, but honestly, you may not be a self starter. Honestly, you may need someone to go through this with you, and I'm definitely here. You could book an appointment with LC Financial Solutions, and I can get you on the schedule. My booking link is in my website. You can go to my website. You can go to my Facebook pages. Click any link that you see, and you can book a consultation, and we can help you set up to get a budget. We can help you set up to go through your budget as well. And again, thank you all for joining Text Tea Thursday with Tish. I am so thankful for you all. I have been doing Text Tea with Tish since I believe the second week of January, and we are in April. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for being with me. I do appreciate you all watching these lives, sharing these lives as well. And again, mastering your budget. We want to have a successful life, right? And so when it comes to mastering your budget, I want to help you to get to whatever lifestyle that you have or whatever lifestyle that you want. So if you say, in 5 years, I want a mansion. Let's figure out how to get you that mansion. In 5 years, whatever you want and whatever your goal is, let's help you get there by mastering your money and mastering your budget. Again, thank you all for joining. I do appreciate you all. You all have a great night. And I will see you next week for week 4 of Financial Literacy Month. Thank you all. Bye.